Welcome, Sandman Nation. I'm Nate. He's Brandon. We are the St. Louis Syndicate, and we're here to share our thoughts on the college football playoff. Man, Brandon, this is a lot like a slugfest. These big teams are knocking each other out like a Mike Tyson fight. You gonna watch this week?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I worry this is gonna be my first one. I'm not into paying for pay-per-view to watch YouTube stars throw punches at each other, but you put this thing on Netflix, I am in. We're
Absolutely.
gonna watch them. We're gonna watch Iron Mike go for it tonight or Friday night.
Right. So what would it take for you to get in the ring with Mike Tyson?
Well, enough that whatever number is so I don't have to work no more. I.
That's it? Just so you don't have to work
Yeah,
anymore? You
I
don't want to like
look
set your future
for
kid up for life or anything? Just gonna cover my drinking bill for the next 25, 30, 40 years.
I just, you think you get the stuff mostly in a lump sum. So if it's enough to not have to,
And then
you can
tax
go out
dollars
there and,
and
you know, but yeah, it's surprisingly a small amount when it comes down to it because, you know, what am I doing with my face? Like,
come on. This is pretty, right? We need you in the St. Louis Syndicate and we can't have you all swollen from Mike Tyson pounding on your ass. Oh, that's funny. Jesus. All right, well back to our regularly scheduled program with our heavyweight slugfests. Week 11 of the college football polls are on your left. Week 12 are on your right. We've seen a little movement. Ole Miss, with the W, moves up 5 spots and actually captures a spot in the playoff. Georgia, the perennial favorite at the beginning of the year, is now out of the playoff picture after a 9 spot falter. And
yeah,
Colorado controls their own destiny, winning out will make the playoffs. What are your thoughts there on some of this movement in just one week?
I, like I said before the season started, Oregon and Indiana and BYU will be undefeated. This is this is
Oh, he
chaos.
lies through his teeth.
What a time to expand the playoff and just have absolute shenanigans going on and just like, hey, we've got teams that normally are average being undefeated and we've got, the SEC teams just pantsing each other week after week and
Oh,
this is um it's interesting, right? Because you start going down this road of the last couple of years of going, we're basically working ourselves towards two massive conferences, and then everybody else kind of left on the outside. And you go, oh, this is going to ruin all the rivalries, and this is gonna ruin college football. And you go, yeah, a little bit to a certain extent. I'm a Mizzou fan, as much as somebody who didn't go there can be, and I liked Mizzou playing Kansas, but now they're playing all of these teams all over the SEC, and the same with all these other guys.
way more fun.
That like just every week you've got a serious game going on where you definitely could lose, and so I think it's going to. I think it's be very interesting to go into a playoff scenario where Penn State and Indiana and BYU and Tennessee and Miami are ahead of Georgia.
Right. That makes zero sense.
Well, it's performance, right? It's, what do we want these things to be? Do you want it to be betting lines? You just line them up and go, we'll just let Vegas pick? Who's
Right.
the biggest favorite? They go up number one? Or do we go, you got to win the games first, and then we'll rate who's left over for losing games? And if you do that, then this is how you get one of these things here.
I I
Because,
do kinda like the ranking. I'd like the parity a little bit, right? Because we're seeing some different teams in. It's not going to be as fun in some instances if the blue bloods are not in there, but it's also not going to be as much fun if it's only the blue bloods. It will get really old really fast. So
Sure.
you've got to have this mix, and I like seeing Indiana in there. I like seeing Penn State, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Miami. While they're blue bloods and perennials of an era, it's been a while since they've
Yeah.
been in the top four.
Right.
So that's going to be fun if Dion can make Colorado, applicable again and relevant. I mean, they were nice when they were in the Big Eight, right, with Rashawn Salam and Cordell Stewart,
Sure.
and I mean that's a long time ago, but that's when they
Right.
were relevant, and it's kind of cool to see them creeping up in there. Clemson's dabbling around the outside. They're looking to get in. You have conversations about Army and Navy and SMU, and these are schools that in the past haven't really had that shot. And I like what I see here, and I think it's good for the sport. I do see some of the rivals causing problems, but I can also see Oregon, Ohio State becoming a new rival as years go on,
Yeah.
especially if they play classics like they did this year already. If
Well,
they
yeah,
if they
that's,
meet in playoffs in some form or fashion, I mean, there could be some rivals develop based off of this.
without a doubt. And, the worst case scenario, right, is really we get into the playoffs and they set the bracket up and we have a scenario where the blue bloods are kind of the back half of that 4 to 12 or 5 to 12, and they just whip the shit out of the higher ranked teams. And then you go, oh, okay, cool. That was fun. And like some of these guys, they've got to carry through and win these games, even though they are going, to be, today, right? You got Indiana, Alabama. Alabama's going to be a favorite. Penn State, Ole Miss. Ole Miss will be the favorite. Tennessee, Notre Dame's obviously going to be closer. Ohio State's obviously going to be the favorite over Boise State.
Yeah.
But you have these things where, if you have these teams that are expected to win every game, the lower seed, it's going to be hard to look everybody in the face if we get to the second round
Yeah.
and they go, "Oh, hey, all the big teams are the last eight standing." You
Yeah.
go, "Oh, okay, well that was fun. We're right back where we thought we were."
Yeah.
And so hopefully,
Highly
some of
possible.
these new guys can get in there and win some games, and we get down. We have a little you know, what is this December madness to go with what we usually get from the basketball side of the ledger. That we get down to the Final Four and some long shot teams get in there, and you go, okay, this is awesome now. Like we could have like a double digit seed play to go to the national title.
I'll tell you what we're gonna see that we have not seen in the past, and this is gonna be interesting. Is in the first round, that's December 20th ish.
I think
Right
so.
now, I think it's in that week range, whatever. In December 20th in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and Penn State, Happy Valley, and in Bloomington, Indiana, it's cold and potentially ice or snow.
That could be a blast. I hadn't really thought about that
Can you?
until
I
you
mean,
started going down this road.
now, can you imagine Alabama or Texas having to go plop down in Happy Valley if it would happen to turn out that way in a blizzard
Now that you mention it,
Pennsylvania? Because we've never seen college football in December in a cold weather. It's always in. I mean, think about the bowls that are in Yankee Stadium, and it's cold and icy. Those
uh
teams
huh.
are miserable. That's why they play most of these bowls in the South. That's going to be a factor at some point in time. Now, right now, the way it lays out, you get through round one. Round two is going to kind of be a little bit warmer. It's going to be okay. Oregon might have some wet and some weather, but nothing crazy. If you get to
Sure.
Miami, you don't care. You get to go to Texas and Austin, you don't care.
Right.
But this is early still. I mean, these things could flip flop around, and your path through could go through Penn State. That would be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's. That's a good point. I could definitely go for some northern football. That would some snow games.
Yeah.
That would be really exciting. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'll be rooting for.
And
I'll tell you that much.
look at Alabama. You could fit Indiana Stadium into Bryant Denny at Alabama.
Oh, sure.
It's going to be a smaller venue.
Yeah.
It's gonna be these going to these kids' homes is just cool. And what an environment for these schools at home. I don't Are the quarterfinal rounds bowls or are they also at home and then the semifinals start the bowls?
Um,
I don't
you
know that
know,
off the top of my head.
I off the top of my head do not know. I believe no, the quarterfinals are at bowls.
Are they?
Yeah, so the
So round
quarterfinals
one is the
is
weather
the
opportunities.
Fiesta Bowl, the Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl.
Got it.
And then we've got the Orange and the Cotton Bowl as the semifinals. And then they're playing the national title at Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta.
Okay. So
So,
I,
so yeah,
I
that gets
think
away from it a little bit, but
would argue it
that
would be
first round
yeah.
should be fun.
Yeah, first round would be amazing. I would love to see the first two rounds be opportunities for home games, and then let the semifinals be a rotating role, a bowl basis or something. But
I mean, hell, I mean, we could just, we don't have to play them at home. We just have the first two rounds played right over the border in Canada. Make sure we get some real snow going.
yeah, why not? Right? Just make this a real fun thing. So, that's where we're at. I think the committee's kind of. I think it looks right. I think they've got it right. I think there's going to be a lot of things that change. One thing I want to remind our viewers and just kind of keep in the back of our minds is that in the past, when the committee has come out with their four rankings, um, usually 5 and 6, 6 and 7 in there are teams that they really like and probably could make it, but maybe they're throwing a team a bone or something.
Yeah.
So there is an outside chance that this would change significantly, and a team like Georgia, when push came to shove, would get put in instead, because it becomes a committee decision at that point, right? So
Right.
just
Yeah.
because we think it should be Tennessee because of their record, if there was a head to head and somebody had a tiebreaker, and even though one team had more losses, you could see the committee justifying to get who they want in. So,
Without a doubt. Like that's well, look, they have to make a product to put on the field.
yeah,
And, the only people that are mad about it at the end of the day are the fans of the one team that gets ostracized. Everybody else enjoys it.
SMU
So,
in there right now.
well, I mean, that's, you have those sorts of things where you go, oh man, I picked SMU at the beginning of the season. It'd be really nice if they just kind of snuck in there at the end. But um, more than likely, they're going to need to slip past Miami
Yeah,
when it comes down to it,
yeah,
and that's going to be their shot. So, if you're not one of the guys that always makes it in, the golden rule applies. Do not leave it up to the judges.
yes, agree completely. So that
Yeah.
takes us to our impact games of the week. Kansas and BYU. BYU is a -3 with Kansas. I see BYU taking care of business here. Kansas has been very up and down. They've surprised some people. I think last week they had a surprise W. Um,
Yeah, they ruined Iowa State's season.
they did. So Kansas is poised to do some damage here. I think BYU wins. I think they win it fairly handily in this particular scenario and maintains their stranglehold in the top 12.
I would have to agree.
Tennessee,
I, you
Georgia.
know,
This is an impactful game, right? I would say right now the winner of this game's in the 12 and the loser's not.
that seems very fair. That's what I was kind of thinking when I was staring at this. For it to be a 10-point line, um, it's definitely kind of saying something about Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
That, to just go like, hey, we think the team that's on the outside is really that much better than you. Um, it'd be very hard for me to lay 10 points with Georgia right now.
Yeah.
And just go, oh, I'm sure they'll just bounce back. Even though Tennessee has been, kind of up and down, high variance.
Yep.
Um, if you're gonna give me 10 points, I have a feeling that's the way I gotta go with that.
Yeah. This is a playoff game. I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of the fun of this to get in. These are play-in games. Now it's not finality play-in, but this game right here on Saturday will go a long way to determining who's in the 12. So both teams have to take this seriously, and I think you'll get Tennessee's best. So 10 is definitely a playable line for me with Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oregon, Wisconsin. While Wisconsin's not as strong as Oregon, and by all means they shouldn't beat Oregon. One thing that is something for me here is that Ryan and I, my buddy, always talk about the new Big Ten schools actually traveling into colder weather and traveling into the East. And Oregon going into Wisconsin, um, that's a tough place to play. Um, and yes, Oregon's Oregon, and it's not Ohio State, but Wisconsin is no joke, man. When teams go into Wisconsin and lose and don't know why, they just are like, "Holy hell, what happened?" It's an atmosphere that's good. 14 points is too much. I think Oregon wins. I think they come out of this still the number one team, but I think they're going to get punched in the mouth by Wisconsin, and I'll be interested to see how they handle it.
This is the basis for my entire pick at the beginning of the season. To go, hey, I think Oregon had, obviously now, like there's literally next to no chance. You'd have to completely fall apart. But you know, having trouble even saying it because I'd still like it to happen. Um, but you go up north and you bring your high flying offense. And Wisconsin goes, well, come on over here. Let's have a little fight in the trenches. And Oregon's number one, and it's hard to just keep poking the top team in the country in the eye and
Yeah,
going like, I don't know, take another swing at me. But I'm of the same mind
yeah.
that
I
I
mean,
go, if you're going to give me 14, bringing your soft team to our hard state, I'm going to take the 14 points.
I'm going to take the 14. I mean, when you're going into a place called, was it Camp Denny Stadium up in Wisconsin,
Camp
and
Randall.
Camp Randall. Who's Camp Denny?
Yeah.
I don't know. Camp
Yeah.
Randall. And you go into Camp Randall and
We're playing at night.
you're at night and it's going to be cold. And
Let's
I
hope.
mean, geez, maybe it'll snow. I mean, we could get our game there.
Oh boy, that'd be fun. I'm waiting for the first snow game. I just there's nothing that I enjoy more sports wise than watching some people chase a football in the snow.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, other games, just to wrap up here, to pay attention to this week that could have impacts Utah and Colorado. Colorado controls its own destiny, as we pointed out on the prior segment. And Utah is one of those teams that would love to play spoiler at this point.
Yeah.
I didn't put any kind of spreads on these, but this is just, teams to watch. Another one, Clemson, Pittsburgh. Clemson has aspirations of moving into the 12. I think they can. Pittsburgh started off the season hot. This will probably be a fun matchup just to watch and see how this plays out. The last one here, Washington State at New Mexico. Washington State's another one of those teams. They cannot win a conference, but they could maybe play their way into the 12. They're going to have to probably go undefeated to make it happen. They should handle business against New Mexico, but we want to keep an outside eye on them, just as we have been Army and Navy keeping an outside eye on them.
Yeah, Clemson would be the one that I'm really watching for. Obviously, Colorado seems like they've kind of hit a stride. I don't know, about covering necessarily. I don't have that kind of finger on my pulse on the pulse for Clemson or for Colorado, but Clemson feels like one of those ones where they're on the way up, and Pitt is kind of imploding a little bit, and that seems like a nice clean bet to just hammer and
What's
make
the
a little
line on
money.
that one? I didn't put it up here.
And I'm digging here. I'm trying to see. It feels like from my standpoint that um that the public perception of the two teams were at -10 for
Okay.
Clemson.
Yeah, -10.
So, that's one of those ones that you just go, they probably go up to Pitt, and, one of those ones where you're just staring at it and they're up by 22 in the third quarter, and you're going, well, kind of risking the backdoor cover, but we're probably all right, sort of thing.
Yeah. No, I got you. I got you. All right. Well, that's our college football update. Hopefully, you guys, I'm telling you, no matter what, which if you watched any of our videos, none of them, all of them, thank you for paying attention. But man, there's some good football on this weekend, starting Thursday night and running all the way through Monday. Well, Monday's terrible; it's Cowboys, but going all the way through Monday, there is
Unless
football
Houston
on,
loses.
and we are in the prime time of year for football. We're headed into Thanksgiving, headed into the playoffs. This is good stuff. So, good luck with your bets, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.